Hello friends, in this video I will explain you 12th chapter. Here this chapter it is related to decision making, learning knowledge management and information technology. So how different types of decisions are made in the organization, and what are different ways of by which organizations learn. So about these all things we are going to learn today. And how decision making means how information technology helps and improve decision making and learning also. Okay, so about these all topics I will explain one by one. So the first heading given, organizational decision making. So what it is organizational decision making? Here you can see organizational decision making is the process. What is this? Organizational decision making is the process of responding to problem by searching for and selecting a solution or course of action that will create value for organizational stakeholders. Now you see here it is a process of responding. So let me select this. I have to select this one to draw. Okay, this color will be, I think, okay, this one. Now here this process here given, the process of responding to a problem by searching for and selecting a solution. It means here it is a type of process. Organizational decision making is a process of responding to problems. So many different types of problems come in the organizational processes. So whenever different problems comes in the organization, and then decisions are being made. So that's why here, and those are those responses to problems in the organization is decision making, is related to decision making. For example, here given process of responding to a problem by searching for and selecting a solution means here the organization search for the solution, search for and select a solution for a given problem. So organization decision making, it is like that, is the process of responding to a problem by searching for and selecting a solution. So once again I am going to read this. So I have already explained process of responding to problems by searching for and selecting a solution. It means whenever problems comes in the organization, then should we respond, means the process of responding to problem by searching for and selecting a solution, that is organizational decision making. Or in other word we can say course of action that will create value for organizational stakeholders, means course of action. So here you can say in other word that organizational decision making, it is type of course of action that will create value for the organizational stakeholders. So two types of decisions generally involved in the organization. The first type of decision making, here it is given program decisions. So program decisions, what it is, now you can see here, decisions that are repetitive and routine. So those decisions which are repetitive, which repeats itself again and again in the organizational processes. So those decisions are known as programmed decisions. And the second type of decision, here it is given non-programmed decisions. What are non-programmed decisions? Decisions that are novel and unstructured. Means novel means those decisions are generally not taking, means so those decisions are not involved in day-to-day activity of the organization. Those decisions are not general decisions. Those decisions are taken in rare situations, in rare cases. So those type of decisions are known as programmed decisions. All organizations have to develop the capacity to make both programmed and non-programmed decisions. Programmed decision making allows an organization to increase its efficiency and reduce the cost of making goods and services. So you see here programmed. So what is the importance of programmed decision making? So programmed decision making allows an organization to increase its efficiency and reduce the cost of making goods and services. Increase its efficiency. So now you can see programmed decision making, it is related to increased, it increases the efficiency and reduce the cost. So that's what I was explaining. So here given programmed decision making allows an organization to increase its efficiency and reduce the cost of making goods and services. Okay, that is the importance of programmed decision making. So for what purpose? What is the importance here? Organization to increase, here programmed decision making increases its efficiency and reduce the cost of making goods and services. And what is the importance of non-programmed decision making? So that it allows the organization to change and adapt to its environment. Okay, because whenever organization changes, whenever the environment changes, then according to that organization will have to adopt. And for adaptation to new organizational environment, what the organization will have to do? The organization will have to make decision. So those type of decisions will come under non-programmed decision making, and these non-programmed decision making generally involves whenever the things in the environment changes. Okay, whenever things change in the environment, and whenever things change in the environment, then what happens? Then to generate, so that's here written, to generate new ways of behaving so that it can effectively take advantage of its environment. Okay, whenever environment changes, then in that case new way of behavior will be required for coping those environmental changes. So that's why non-programmed decision making here, it helps to adapt to environmental changes. Modes of organizational decision making. What are different models? What are different models of organizational decision making? So these models of decision making help us to understand that in what ways, or we can say how, different organizations make decisions related to organizational processes. So here given, according to rational model, so what it tells, this model, making decision making is straightforward. Here according to rational model, the decision making involves straightforward 3-stage process. Okay, it is a straightforward 3-stage process. How many processes are required? So 3 stages. Now you can say 3-stage process. In stage 1, managers identify problems that need to be solved. So here first given, in stage 1 managers identify problems that need to be solved. So first, so now you think again. So in a rational model of decision making, so this is a type of straightforward and 3-stage process. So it is 3-stage process. In the first stage here given, managers identify the problems. It means identification of problem that need to be solved. This is the first stage. In the second stage, managers managers individually or collectively seek to design and develop a list of alternative solutions courses of action to the problems they have identified. So now you see here, managers individually or collectively seek to design and develop a list of alternative solution courses. Okay, so seek to design and develop list of alternative solution. It means this is the second, means designing alternative solution courses. First identify, then the second, managers identify alternative solutions, and in the third stage we can see compare the likely consequences of each alternative. So now first identify, second find and design and develop alternative solution for identified problems, and then compare the consequences of those all design which develops, means you can say compare all alternative solutions. Okay, means here means consequence means comparing in the third stage, comparing the consequences of different alternatives or alternative solutions. So that's why here given stage 1, identify and define the problem. Second, generate alternative solution to the problem, and then in the third stage, select solution and implement it. So that's all about a rational model of decision making. So rational model ignores the ambiguity. So here one thing we should keep in mind. So what is we should keep in mind? Rational model ignores the ambiguity, uncertainty and chaos that typically plague decision making. So we know there are so many different, here there is ambiguity, uncertainty and chaos. So these all things are present in the environment. So when managers make decisions, okay, so when they make decisions, so such type of problems are there. So how managers can overcome such problems? So for that we will learn different models, but this is very simple model. So in which identifying problem, generate alternative solution and select out of those alternative any one solution. So that's what the manager is going to do. And criticism of this model are as follows. What are different criticism of this model? So the first criticism of this model, it is information and uncertainty. Okay, so these are criticism of rational model. So the first criticism here given, information and uncertainty. So how these are related to criticism? Now you see the assumption that managers are aware of all alternatives causes you see the assumption that managers are aware of all alternative courses of action and their consequences is unrealistic. It means that is unrealistic because managers do not know all alternative courses. Okay, so that assumption is not realistic, that's why. So in order for this assumption to be valid, managers would need access to all the information necessary to make a decision and would need to collect information about every possible situation the organization might encounter, and would need accurate knowledge about the likelihood of each situation occurring. So now you see, so if the manager is having knowledge of all alternative courses of action, so that is the assumption. So if managers have all alternative courses of action, managers are aware of all alternative courses of action, then in that case here such things will have to be. So this assumption is going to be valid only in case when managers have all the information necessary to make decision, but in reality managers do not have all the information necessary to make decision. Okay, because it is not practical to collect each and every type of information, and it is also not possible to process each and every type of information. So that's why it is unrealistic assumption. So that's why written, so these are not possible practically. Now second given, managerial abilities. In reality, managers have only a limited ability to process the information required to make decision. Okay, managers have limited ability to process the information required to make decisions. So that's what I here written. Managerial ability means that is limited ability here possessed by managers for making decision, and most do not have time to act as the rational model demands. So they also have less time, and they are also not able to process all the information. Third given, preferences and value. Rational model assumes that different managers have the same preferences and value. Okay, here given rational model assumes that managers have same preferences and values. So that's what here given, same preferences and values, that they will use the same rules to decide on the best alternative, which is unrealistic. So here this rational model of decision making assumes that managers have the same preferences and values, that they will use the same rules. Okay, so all managers do not have same preferences and value, they differ on preferences and values. So that's why this is not realistic. So second model here given, Carnegie model. So Carnegie model recognizes the effect of satisficing bounded rationality and organizational collisions. So now you see, so whatever means some criticisms of rational decision making model can be overcome by this model. So what this model tells, so the Carnegie model recognizes the effects of satisficing bounded rationality and organizational collisions. So here given, recognize the effects of satisficing. I will explain what is the meaning of satisficing. Second given, the bounded rationality, that also I will explain, and organizational collision. So this model recognizes these things. Okay, so Carnegie model tells that there are effects of satisficing bounded rationality and organizational collisions on organizational decision making. So how these things affect organizational decision making? So first given, satisficing. So in an attempt to explain how organizations avoid the cost of obtaining information, the Carnegie model suggests that managers engage in satisficing limited information searching. It means satisficing, we can say here, limited information searches to identify problems and alternatives. So because it is not possible to search each and every type of information, because that it will cost a lot, so that it will be impractical for the organization. So that's why this model tells that organizations search for limited information. So limited information searches to identify problems and alternative solution. It means whether it searches for the problems and whether searches for alternative solution. For those all cases, limited alternatives are used, or we can say limited solution here means problems, and for that limited information searches are being done by the organization. So that's what it tells, satisfying limited information searches to identify problems and alternative solutions. Then the second term, it was the bounded rationality. So bounded rationality, so this Carnegie model assumes that managers are limited by bounded rationality. Means what is this bounded rationality? A limited capacity to process information. It means this model also recognizes that managers have limited ability to process information. So whatever type of information they are getting, that is bounded rationality. Third given, organizational coalition. So there it is also the effect of organizational coalition on the organizational decision making. So how it affects decision making. The Carnegie model views an organization as a coalition of different interests. Now you see so many. This model views organization as a coalition of different interests in which decision making takes place by compromise, bargaining and negotiations between managers from different functions and areas of the organization. It means here you see here different interest, coalition of different interests are there in the organization. In simple word we can say organization as a coalition of different, means organization, in the organization whenever coalition is going to form, then different interest will be there, and in decision making takes place in which decision making takes place by compromise. Here decision making takes place by compromise, bargaining and negotiations between managers from different functions and areas of the organization. Now you can see here in which decision making takes place by compromise, bargaining and negotiation between managers from different functions and areas of organization. It means whenever decision making happens, so that decision making is influenced by managers from different functions, because different managers in different functions influence decision making. So that's why they affect how decisions are going to be made. So here in short we can say Carnegie model recognizes that decision making takes place in an uncertain environment where information is often incomplete and ambiguous. It also recognizes that decisions are made by people who are limited by bounded rationality, who satisfies and who form coalitions to pursue their own interest. So in short we can say takes place means decision making takes place, from here to decision making takes place in uncertain environment where information is incomplete. So okay, information is incomplete. It also recognizes that decisions are made by people who are limited by bounded rationality. So here incomplete and ambiguous. So information is often incomplete and ambiguous. It also recognizes that decisions are made by people who are limited by bounded rationality, and decisions are made by people who are limited by bounded rationality. And third model of organizational decision making here given, the incrementalist model. So what is this incrementalist model of decision making? So I will explain. So what this incrementalist model states, now you see, according to the incrementalist model of organizational decision making, managers select alternative courses of action that are only slightly or incrementally different from those used in the past. So here in this model, managers make decisions in such a way so that that is slightly different from the decisions made in the past. So why those managers make decisions slightly different from the past? So that here lessening the chances of making a mistake. So here if a slight modification is being made in decision making, then the chances of making mistake here it will be less. This model is often called the science of muddling through. Okay, this model is also known as science of muddling through. So what happens during the muddling through process, organizational goals and the courses of action for achieving them may change, but they change very slowly, so that corrective actions can be taken if things start to go wrong. So now you see in the muddling through process, organizational goals and the courses of action for achieving them may change, but they change very slowly. Okay, they change very slowly. Fourth model given, the unstructured model. So in the unstructured model, whenever organizations encounter roadblocks, means any type of problem, they rethink their alternatives and go back to the drawing board. Okay, means whenever any type of problem comes to the organization, then in that case they rethink their alternatives and they go back to the drawing board. Thus, decision making is not a linear, sequential process, but a process that may evolve unpredictably in an unstructured way. So here given, this decision making is not a linear, sequential process, but a process that may evolve unpredictably in an unstructured way. So that's what it is, unstructured model. And then fifth one given, the garbage can model. So what it tells, now you see the view of decision making as an unstructured. So the view of decision making as an unstructured process is taken to its extreme in the garbage can model of organizational decision making. It means whatever there it is unstructured a process of decision making, if we take that unstructured process of decision making to the extreme, then that model we can call as garbage can model. So what happens here? This model turns the decision making process around and argues that organizations are likely to start making decisions from the solution side as from the problem side. It means in this model the decision making, it may start from the solution side also, or it may be from the problem side. It means there is nothing fixed in this process and there is no path defined according to which the decision making process will go through. So it may start anywhere and it may end anywhere. So that is the garbage can model. The nature of organizational learning. Okay, decision making I think I have completed. So let me check. Okay, so nature of organizational learning I will explain in another part.